Hello everyone, I am the Urban Deer, or Urban, and this is the Pikmin 2 Pay Off Debt tutorial. To start off, I want to go through a few general things. First, I am going to assume you have a general understanding of Pikmin 2. This means controls, enemy names, cave names, etc. Second, this tutorial is intended for beginners. Therefore, I will not be showing off some of the tricks that top runners go for. That includes Louis Skip, Egg Push, and Fast Empress. We will also be doing a slightly easier but slower version of Early Blues. Third, with the way sub-level generation works, each run will be different from the next. For this reason, a lot of top runners tend to develop their own strategies and styles. In this tutorial, I will be only covering how I personally approach above ground setups and sub-levels. There are definitely other strategies out there, so feel free to ask other runners for their opinions as well. Finally, I will be linking a number of resources in the description of this video. These include Poko routing guides, other tutorials, and information on the practice hack, which I highly recommend for any new runner. We also have an active Pikmin speedrunning Discord should you have any further questions. Alright, now I think we can go ahead and get started with this tutorial. There are a couple important things to note about the versions of this game. Nintendo released the original version on GameCube, as well as a new play control version for Wii. The GameCube version is several minutes faster due to two major tricks that can be performed on it, in addition to several Wii version cutscenes being unskippable. Most of us run the GameCube disc on a Wii console, however, because of the improved load times. There are also three versions of this game that have different treasures: North American, or NTSC, Japanese, or JP, and European, or PAL. The NTSC version is optimal due to increased treasure value, but beginners can run on whatever version they can get their hands on. Note if you use JP or PAL versions, your Poko route will be slightly different than what I am showing here. Check out the resources in the description for more information. Alright, and we will go ahead and get my game feed up here. I'm going to reset my console. Alright, so this game does have an autosave feature in caves if you run with a memory card. It will lose 0 to 2 seconds per save depending on your memory card. For this reason, most runners do not use one, but I will be using one for this tutorial. It is also highly recommended for beginner players to use one in case you lose a substantial number of Pikmin on a floor. If that happens, you can reload your save file and complete the run rather than starting over. So I have actually been waiting on this menu screen as I've been going over some of these basics. Surprisingly, this is actually intentional. If you wait 10 to 15 seconds on this start menu when you initially start your console, the first load screen we will see in the game will be faster. We refer to this as load manip. Note that if you hard reset your console, load manip is not maintained, so you will need to wait another 10 to 15 seconds on the start menu. Timing starts on the first input as expected. In this case, that is file select, but ordinarily it would be when you select yes to continue without a memory card. I'm going to go ahead and start now. We immediately see a skippable cutscene. This one is skippable only with the start button. Some cutscenes may also be skipped with the A button, but all can be skipped with start. So when in doubt, mash the start button. Just be careful not to open the start menu. Alright, so our first text box is going to come up here. The best way to mash through text in Pikmin 2 is to mash A and B simultaneously. After you mash through all the text, you're going to try to whistle one Pikmin. Alright, so I would highly recommend you wait for him to shake there. You see Pikmin kind of fall onto the ground. And then very lightly tap the B button over one Pikmin and try to whistle it. Okay? Lightly tapping really helps to make it so you only whistle one Pikmin, alright? So after you whistle your Pikmin, you're going to turn around, and we're going to want to run in this direction. Okay? When you get up to this corner, you can turn just a little bit, then press the L button, and we are going to turn around and try to throw this Pikmin out of bounds. This is setting up a trick that we call Day 1 Extinction. Basically, it allows us to skip the tutorial day by causing a Pikmin extinction. If you happen to whistle more than one Pikmin, that is okay. You can do this trick with more than one Pikmin. Just keep trying to throw them out of bounds. Do whatever you need to get all of the Pikmin you have whistled out of bounds. And then the next step of this trick is to walk over here whistle your Pikmin, and then push forward with both the C stick and the joystick, and your Pikmin will fall off into the abyss and automatically cause an extinction. Okay? For any of these screens in the today's report, you do need to mash A through them. Just be careful not to accidentally save. Go down to select don't save, and then you can start mashing A again. You can mash A as well into the next area. Since we've already visited this area, we can skip the initial cutscene, so know that. But we will see one immediately after, where our first Pikmin seed is going to spawn. Again, A and B simultaneously to get through text. So one thing I want you to notice here is that you will always be facing the same direction. So as that cutscene's about to end, you can buffer the direction that you're going to push. So in this case, you're going to want to push down and to the left. And our goal is to get to that Pikmin seed as quickly as possible, okay? So you'll buffer the input and it'll kind of look like that. As you pluck the Pikmin with A, you can press L and that'll turn your camera. And now we're going to try to line up one shot on one of these pellet posies. You can kind of center yourself on it. Pikmin is going to hit it, and then that Pikmin is going to pick it up. Sometimes the Pikmin will not pick up the pellet, and that is okay. It's just going to start attacking the other pellet posy. We're going to punch it out with our captain anyway. So if that happens, just let the Pikmin help you punch it out, and then it'll pick up the pellet. All right? As soon as we punch out the pellet posy, we're going to whistle our captain, and then line up our reticle so it is right next to the pellet posy that is, or the pellet that is remaining. Okay? It'll make more sense when I do it. Takes 7 hits to kill that. Alright, see how the reticle is right by that pellet posy? This Pikmin is going to automatically join us. And so when this cutscene ends, we can just mash A and throw the Pikmin right next to that posy. Alright? A and B through text. Alright, now you're going to pluck your 2 Pikmin here. Turn your camera with L so you're facing over here. Come stand right at the edge of the circle. The Bulborb is going to notice you, and you're going to want to lightly press down on the control stick so that he follows you. If he bites, that's okay. He can't hurt your Pikmin. You're going to try to one-shot him. If you miss, also fine. You're going to punch out. Okay. Pluck the Pikmin while this tries to pick it up. Be careful when you mash through that cutscene. If you mash through it too early, sometimes your Pikmin seeds won't spawn, and that's a bit of a problem. Also, we're about to activate a bit of a Louie cutscene, so you're going to want to move away from the red onion. And then as soon as the seeds spawn, I'm a little late on this one, but as soon as the seeds spawn, you're going to want to switch to Louie. Make sure you're away from under the red onion, though, because that'll activate a cutscene that we're going to activate later. Okay? As soon as all the seeds enter, you can pause and exit the day. One thing about the today's report cutscenes is you should wait to start mashing A until you hear the very first sound effect. Otherwise, you'll get some lag there. We're going to go into day 3. We're going to have 2 cutscenes, and after the second cutscene, we're going to be placed right under the red onion, so we can mash A to withdraw the 5 Pikmin that we have in there. You're going to whistle them. You're going to try to one-shot both of these guys. It's okay if you don't. Then you're going to C-stick your remaining Pikmin into them to pick it up. Again, if you can't get the one-shots, that's totally fine. Then you want to pluck all 4 of these Pikmin. And you want to listen for the sound effects as these get planted. As soon as the 3rd one gets planted, as soon as you hear the sound effects start, you can pause and exit the day. Okay? So ordinarily you wouldn't save here. I'm going to go ahead and save just in case. Alright, so at the start of this day, you can buffer another input. you're going to buffer down and to the right a little bit, or to the right and down a little bit, again, because we're going to try to get to under the red onion. Perfect. Now we're going to draw all 9 of our Pikmin, do a quick whistle, throw 2 on this guy, long for a 1 over here. As long as it's close to the pellet posy, you'll be fine. Take these guys, throw 6 on here, whistle your captain, pluck 1 or 2, come over here and throw 1 Pikmin on there, pluck the remaining guys. Now here, there are 2 sprouts and we have 2 captains, and we want each captain to pluck 1 sprout. In order to do that, you need to wait until both are fully sprouted, okay? So that's right now. Alright, so we've plucked, we have 15 now. We can weigh down this bag. So you're going to walk over here and throw 15. Whistle afterwards so that they're in your party. Your captain is automatically going to warp to the same spot, so it's okay wherever you're placed. And run over here, grab 1. Throw 6 on their total. And 5 on that one. Sorry, I only threw 5 on that first one first, so I fixed my throw. I threw 1 extra on it. You're going to grab 1 Pikmin and throw toward the 2 pellet posies there. It's going to start punching them out. Then you're going to pluck the remaining Pikmin here. Going to walk over here. You should aim just to the right of the 10 pellet here while you push forward on the control stick. If you aim to the right, they will all grab on. Pretty much guaranteed. Additionally, the hitbox is really large, so you don't have to worry too much if you feel like you've gone too far to the right. Okay? Alright, see they're all going to grab it. These 2 guys are punched out, so we're good. Now we're going to come up here, and we are going to punch out the eggs. Now, there is a chance, just like we saw here, that you'll get Mitites. That is okay. It can make it a little difficult to nectar all of your Pikmin afterward, but that is alright. If you get them, just ignore them. Make sure to throw 2 on here to pick that up. And because of the Mitites, this took a little longer, but normally you'd want to speed up one of the 5 pellets, okay? You want to speed up the second one. We're going to pluck, pluck, pluck. You should have 46 Pikmin at the end of this portion. Alright, now we're going to run up here. It's okay to C-stick while you go up here, just be careful not to C-stick into the wall on the left there. They'll kind of get stuck. But there are a few different ways to nectar. If you get a bunch of nectar out here in the middle, it's really, really easy. You can just push your Pikmin through it with C-sticking. However, if you get one on the edge here, we can also try to use this. You're going to push your Pikmin up against the edge and then try to slide them over it, okay? We missed a few, but that is alright. We have another thing of nectar here, so we're going to try to get them on that. Totally fine if you don't get all your guys' nectar. After this, again, you should have 46 Pikmin. Most of them should be flowers. Again, totally fine if it's not. We're going to throw up on the bag here. Alright, and then you're going to try to one-shot this Bulborb while throwing 2 Pikmin at once, okay? So I think it'll make sense when you see it, but the 2 Pikmin are going to pick up a red 1 pellet he's going to drop, and then you're going to throw 6 on his body to carry him in, okay? So 1, 2, perfect. Wait for it to go, then throw 6. Alright? Now we're going to load all 38 of our remaining Pikmin on the gate here. If you have leaves, just wait for them to load on the gate, totally fine. We're going to come over here and activate the first treasure scene cutscene. Normally you'd see that on the tutorial day, but we don't here. Now, we need to activate the Louie cutscene that we also skipped on the tutorial day. And the best time to do this, so we do this by going under the onion as we are Olimar with Louie with us. And then you're going to switch captains right under the onion. So you're going to press Y as soon as this Bulborb corpse enters the onion, okay? So right now. And that's going to activate the Louie cutscene. A and B through text. Final reminder, maybe. But now you're going to pluck the rest of your Pikmin. Whistle any guys that might happen to be under there. You're going to move over here. You can C-stick up past this bag, but as soon as you get past this bag, stop C-sticking. Your Pikmin will follow you, I promise. Then we're going to try to get to this gate as quickly as possible. So normally you can be right by the gate. We're a little slow, but that's okay. If your Pikmin don't automatically join your Pikmin that were on the gate don't automatically join your party, just whistle them. I will show that here. We're going to approach this cave. There's a cutscene, so mash start, and then we're going to enter our first cave. Okay? Now, this will show the saving screen. I'm actually going to take out my memory card to show you what I do when I don't save on the next one. There are 2 cutscenes here to skip through. Alright, so the first thing that I want to point out on this sublevel is that you are always facing the same direction. So when a sublevel's base layout is always the same, when the shape of the rooms and how they're connected is always the same, so on this sublevel, on Emergence Cave 2, on the boss sublevel, so like Hole of Beast 5, as well as on some other ones like Snagger Hole 1. So in those cases, you are always facing the same direction when you start. So I highly recommend the first thing you do when you gain control of your captain is pressing L. Alright, so you'll see the effect that that has on this sublevel in particular. Okay, so I'm going to press L, and now I am facing in the direction of that room. Alright, that's perfect. That's what we want. Okay, our goal here is going to be to collect 2 treasures. Alright, so we're going to move forward. You're going to want to kill any Bulborbs that are in the way of the further treasure first. Okay, so there are these 2 guys that you see here. We're going to kill both of them. We're going to try and kill them with one-shots. If we don't get one-shots, it's okay. Just spam throw or swarm your Pikmin. If they eat a couple, also totally fine. But the general principle here is that we're going to get the further treasure moving first, because it's going to take longer to get in, and we're going to try to get the closer treasure in totally before we do that, before the second treasure comes in, okay? So if we move quickly enough, this should be fine, alright? So we're going to try killing these guys. That's alright, see we missed. Just going to let our Pikmin try and beat them up. After you get that, try to kill these other guys. And then this worked out perfectly, okay? So now you see that the orange is going to go in second and the bottle cap is going to go in first. We effectively wasted no time getting the bottle cap because we got the orange moving first as quickly as possible, and it's also going to be the second thing in, okay? So that is a really easy principle to see here that is very important overall in the speedrun, all right? You can collect an enemy corpse, a bug body, on this floor if you want. We normally activate that cutscene on the next floor. I will show you that strategy. If you do activate it on this floor, it is no means to reset. Definitely don't worry about it. As you approach a hole for the first time, you will see a cutscene, so be sure to mash start. And then you just wait here for a second while these 2 treasures go in. When a treasure goes in, you do need to be sure to mash A so that the cutscene will end. The cutscene won't end if you're not mashing A. And then, since we're right by the hole, as soon as the second treasure goes in, we can just continue mashing A, and that'll select it and let us exit, okay? So I'm going to mash A. I'll select yes to delve deeper with Pikmin, and again, I've taken my memory card out, so this is how you should do this. This is how you should menu when you don't have the memory card in. I'm going to press A, and then I'm immediately going to start pressing B. Pressing B allows us to skip through this save function as quickly as possible. Again, this layout, we're always going to be facing the same direction, so press L at the very start. That'll center yourself. A general thing that I want to show is how an efficient way to whistle all of your Pikmin, which is this kind of sweeping motion. So you'll press L, it'll turn your camera, and you're going to move forward a little bit, whistle with B, and move backward. And that should whistle all of your Pikmin, okay? Now, on this floor, we're going to try to collect the globe in addition to growing 10 purples. Now, I'm going to do this the way that most of us speedrunners do it. If you are concerned about losing Pikmin, it is fine to kill these guys first here. Otherwise, you'll see that we're going to kill them after we get the globe moving, okay? So I'm just going to C-stick around them. can be a little tight. Again, if you lose a Pikmin, totally fine. I'm going to try to get about somewhere between 10 and 15 Pikmin with me. If you have significantly more than that, you see like I have 23 here, that's not actually a big deal. We're not going to worry about it too much, okay? Now you're going to run past here. You're going to stop C-sticking so that your Pikmin do not latch onto the Bulborbs. Okay? Again, if a Pikmin gets eaten, totally fine. Nothing to worry about. You're going to throw 5 in each of these. And I actually underthrew in the first one, so I'm gonna fix that real quick. You want to make sure to fix it if you underthrow. And for beginners, I'm going to recommend you pluck all 10 of your purples here, okay? And you see, even because we weren't C-sticking, none of our Pikmin got stuck on that Bulborb that was close there, alright? Now, on your way back, you're going to have to kill any Bulborb that's in the way, okay? So any Bulborb that is close to the right side, you're probably going to need to kill, especially early on. Alright? Now, the main reason you need to kill them is that your purple leaf Pikmin are going to lag way, way behind you. Alright? So if you don't kill him, it's likely that he's going to accidentally grab one of those purples. Alright? Well, he does it on purpose, but it's an accident for us. Alright, so you're going to try to one-shot them. Perfect. This guy's probably okay. Just move quickly. Good. Now we're going to one-shot this guy too. Oop, got it. Alright, and as we approach the globe, you're going to put all your reds, and then you need to put at least 7 purples on it. Alright, I think it's actually 6. Yeah, at least 6 purples on it, okay? So you can throw, C-stick, whatever you want to do. So I threw 6, I'm going to throw 1 extra. And then you're going to use your purples to try to get one-shots on these. Luckily, purples will hone in on them. We're going to try to get a bug body, a couple bug bodies as well, here, and that'll activate a cutscene. If you don't activate the cutscene, if you only get 1 body, totally fine. Nothing to worry about, nothing to reset over. While the globe is going in, you're going to run back over here to the exit. The first time you approach the exit, you will see a cutscene, so we're going to have to match through that, so just be prepared. Alright, and we're about to encounter our first exploration kit treasure, which comes with some text boxes, so just be prepared to mash through those as well. And again, we're right by the hole as we're getting ready to exit, so you can just mash A, select yes. You are going to need to mash A to show for the treasure totals. And then the cave complete cutscene will come up on this cave, and the next one you'll need to wait for that, otherwise you can immediately go down and select don't save, okay? You will need to press A to make that save menu show up. Alright, we'll have several cutscenes here to skip through. And then we'll see another today's report. You should have 43 reds and 10 purples at the end of this day. Again, if you don't, totally fine. Even if you lose a couple, really 1 purple, maybe 2, it's totally okay as well. Alright, let's go down here to don't save. I'm going to remember to put my memory card back in. I'm actually going to go ahead and save here as well. Ordinarily you wouldn't. Alright, and since we just discovered a new area, the game is automatically going to put us over there, so you can just mash A as that area shows up on the screen. And since it's the first time we're visiting this area, we have an unskippable cutscene. But immediately after that, we will see one that tells us that the purple Pikmin are in the onion for us, or in the ship for us. So you'll need to mash start through that. And then again, you'll want to buffer an input directly left to go under, or directly right, excuse me, to go under the red onion. Alright, hold down until you get to 0 on the top one, so you withdraw all your reds, withdraw all your purples. Do a quick whistle. Throw 2 on these guys, 2 on that, and 2 on that. If you miss any of the pellet posy shots, that's okay. You just need to be sure to check to make sure, that everything is moving, alright? Sometimes the Pikmin won't grab onto the Shearwigs as well, alright? You actually saw that I did spawn the Honey Wisp, so that is something that I do there that is intentional. That'll make a little more sense in a second. But as soon as you get all your Pikmin on the wall, you're going to move a little away from the wall because we're going to whistle him in a second, and you're going to switch captains. Alright, so we're going to wait. We're going to want 6 Pikmin in our party. If you don't have 6, that means one's laying behind over here. Alright, so make sure everything got carried in over here, as well as no Pikmin are left behind. Once you have 6 with you, you're going to throw 1 on that pellet posy, and you're going to try to throw 1 on each of these shear grubs, sorry, and then throw 1-shots on each of these. If these are really close together, you might need to whistle your second Pikmin to get it on there, and then also things like that can happen. So you saw this corpse body's hitbox hadn't spawned yet, and so it accidentally grabbed onto the 1 pellet. Alright, so just make sure to fix that. We want to get 1 Pikmin on each of those things to carry them in. Alright, you're going to come over here, pluck 8 to 10 reds, depending on how quickly you move. Whistle any Pikmin that are under your ship while the other things go in. You're going to see here, I am going to spawn the Honey Wisp the second time. And what that does is that makes sure he's coming from the other end. We do that. You whistle your captain, you throw your Pikmin on the gate, then whistle your captain. And we're going to come back here one last time. You should have 73 Pikmin now. If you're down a couple, totally fine. Alright, you're going to try to grab a flower. If you grab a leaf, that's fine as well. And you're going to line yourself up on that dandelion you see in the background. Alright, so if you center yourself right on it, that's where the Honey Wisp is going to spawn, and you can pretty quickly throw a Pikmin on him, okay? We're going to put all of our guys on the gate here. I like to dismiss my captain and then switch, so that I only have 1 captain for this. You can kind of try to push them over here on the side so they're a little closer together. Whistle all of your guys. Try to nectar as many of them as possible. If you don't get them all nectared, totally fine. We have some backup nectar here in a little bit. Going to switch to purples and try to throw 5 on the gray part of this Baronet's face. If you do that, he should die pretty instantly. Alright, so here, right here, there is a mum. We're going to avoid him for the most part. So as you are moving through here, you're going to want to C-stick to the left. Then when you get to this point, you can really stop C-sticking. Alright, we're going to immediately cut to the right so that we can enter the cave. You might hear the mum wake up. If that happens, it's okay. At worst, he's going to eat 1 or 2 Pikmin, but most of the time he won't. All right, a lot of times you won't even hear him wake up. So I'll point out if we hear him. If we don't, I'll also point that out. All right, so we're going to cut to the right. Cutscene because we're approaching the cave for the first time. So you barely heard it at the end there. You see we still have all 73 Pikmin with us, so there's nothing to worry about. All right, so you just want to make sure as you pass that mum to C-stick to the left, so that no Pikmin are walking over. Alright? Now, we are going to enter Hole of Beasts. This first floor is going to have 1 treasure on it, and we are going to collect it. We're also going to try and collect a few bug bodies if you can. Alright, so one strategy that I want you to kind of get comfortable with for figuring out what direction things are in relatively quickly is something we call this swivel. Alright, so you're going to turn your captain as you press L, and that's going to give you a pretty wide range of things you can see. Alright, so you can see, doing this, we can see like 2 of these areas at a time. Alright, kind of a circular motion like that. Okay, now the treasure on this floor can be out in this center room here, or it can be in one of the end alcoves. Alright, so in this version, it's in one of the end alcoves. I'd probably recommend killing these purple guys at first, the little purple enemies at first, just because they can be a little annoying, and if they eat a purple, that kind of sucks. You're going to look for this guy, look for this treasure, and just get 10 reds on it, alright? Come back through, kill any of the purple guys. They're the only ones that can kill your Pikmin. The gray ones cannot. Alright, but the other place that treasure can be is going to be at the ends of these alcoves, alright? So check the open room, check the end of every alcove, you'll find the treasure, okay? Don't worry too much about how many bug bodies you collect, just try to collect as many as you can, alright? You definitely don't want to slow yourself down at all for bug bodies, because you can always collect more later on. Alright? This next sublevel is pretty simple. We're just going to try to grow another 10 purple Pikmin. So you'll see me doing the swivel again. Perfect. Now I know where this is. We are moving off in that direction. 5 in each. If you overthrow, that's fine too. Now you want to check these alcoves for exits while those are spawning. You can also lightly hold L while you're plucking and move a direction on the joystick, and that will turn your captain so you can look around. We actually see that there is no exit over here, so that actually means it's in the first room. This is pretty rare, but that's totally fine. It could be in any of them, but it's over in this one, so we're going to go over here. Once you plucked your Pikmin, totally fine to just exit. Alright, this next floor, the only hazard here is fire, so we're going to use our red Pikmin, which are obviously immune to fire. Again, this layout always has the same general layout, so you can press L and you'll always be facing the same direction, which is forward towards these fire geysers, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so you're going to whistle all your Pikmin, move forward, dismiss, and then whistle your reds. Okay? Now, there are 2 treasures on this floor. You're going to want to run to the farther room, because this is always where the second treasure will be. Load it up, and then you're going to try to load up the first treasure, the closer treasure, which is always going to be in this little chimney thing, after you get that second one moving. Alright? Then you're going to run over to the exit, and you are just going to wait. Okay? I switched back and whistled my purples. That is totally not necessary, just a habit I have. Not necessary does not save any time. Alright, so we see again the treasure we got moving second goes in first, which is what we want. It means we're doing things efficiently. Alright, I will definitely reset the... maybe not. On this next sub-level, we're going to practice a skill that is pretty important. And that is, when you come down, we've actually skipped this cutscene until now, but when you come down, a cutscene plays that kind of shows you an overview of what the sub-level looks like. It's not necessary on a lot of those early easy floors to see what the sub-level looks like. This next one, however, it is pretty important, okay? So we are going to be looking for the playing card as we go down. All right, I will go slowly. I'm not going to cut through the cutscene at all. I'll just let it play out completely. But you are going to be looking for the playing card and seeing if you can locate where that is relative to your starting position. All right. The other thing that you can see is the exit location, which if you can pick both of them out, great. That's going to be really helpful moving forward. But right now, I just want you to focus on the card location. Okay? So it's going to save. All right, so I saw the card location. Okay? So I know it's kind of over to my left here. All right, I saw that on the come down. One thing that I should mention, that I should have mentioned a little earlier maybe, you definitely want your brightness turned up as much as possible while you're speedrunning this game for this very reason. It also helps to see much further in caves as well. But on that come down scene, if your brightness is turned way up, it's quite a bit easier to see. So just keep that in mind. All right. So this sublevel, there are 2 treasures, one of which is in a red bulb orb, and the other is that card that we were looking for. Okay. So the card most of the time will spawn in this candy cane room. All right, that's what we call this one. The other 5 little alcoves in this room are the small ones, all right? Sometimes the card can spawn in one of those, but it's even easier to see in those cases, all right? The bulb orb normally will spawn outside in this room, but sometimes can spawn in the candy cane room as well. However, if you see the card not spawned in the candy cane room, meaning it's in one of these little alcoves over here, that one's the exit, but like one of these alcoves over here, like where the egg is, then that means that the bulb orb cannot be back in the candy cane room either, okay? So just keep all of that in mind. But anyway, once you know where the card is, you're going to see if the bulb orb is in this room. If the bulb orb is in this room, you're going to kill it with purples, and then you're going to load 10 reds on its corpse to collect that. We're going to go ahead and kill this fire geyser because it is going to be in the way. You can throw usually 2 2 to 3 is good on them. So 1, 2, 3. Now, we're going to try to kill this guy. You need to throw 7 purples on him to guarantee kill him. Alright? Alright, and I accidentally threw some leaves, and we want to nectar those leaves in a second, so we're going to whistle all of our guys, and then we're going to try to grab a single purple, okay? We want to throw 1 purple on his corpse, and 2 on that, alright? These are going to move really slowly, and we're really far away, so we're going to speed them up with a few reds, okay? You can throw them, and then you're going to throw 3 reds as well on the card. Alright? Now, we are looking for an empty alcove opposite this little white square, okay? That alcove is going to contain mitites most of the time. Sometimes it might not follow this pattern, but this is the pattern you should follow most of the time. Alright, so we're looking for this white square. It's on this side, so that means our empty alcove is probably on this side, okay? So we see there are 2 empty alcoves. I know for a fact that it is actually this one, but at this point I would just recommend trying them both, okay? You're going to want to take 1 purple, and as you approach the alcove, you're going to throw it into the alcove. That's going to make mitites spawn, and the purple's going to instantly kill all of them. If you throw a leaf purple, you need to whistle, because we're trying to nectar all of our Pikmin right now, so you want to nectar that purple. The other thing you want to do is use reds to pick them up. There's a little strategy that I use there that I don't think I've quite explained yet. But that is, if your Pikmin are all jumbled up and you grab one, your Pikmin are automatically going to sort themselves, okay? So this works with leaves as well. So if we had purple leaves, they would get sorted too. If I grab my reds, you see that all my reds follow me in the party, okay? Even if I mix up my Pikmin, and grab one, perfect. Reds are following, okay? So that's a really important thing to look. So you saw after I threw the purple, I grabbed a red and pushed forward with the C-stick as I moved forward, and that caused only reds to pick those up, only red flowers, in fact. All right? Once you've collected both treasures and the corpses, it's okay if you don't get the corpses again. You're going to want to go to the exit. All right? Our next floor is our first boss floor. I'm not going to be showing off the Fast Empress strategy, but just know that that does exist. If you want more information, check out the description. Again, this sublevel is always the same shape, so you can press L as soon as you gain control, and that'll orient you. Now, you're going to whistle all of your Pikmin, and you're going to throw 1 on her body. As soon as you see her little health circle pop up, you're going to whistle that boy off, and then swarm your Pikmin into her body. She will then shake and make a sound effect 1 to 3 times normally. And as soon as she's done shaking and making that sound effect, you need to whistle your Pikmin off. This will prevent her from crushing them, as well as prevent your Pikmin from becoming leaves. Alright? Then, after she does her little attack animation, we are going to swarm her again once all the dust settles. Okay? And that should allow you to 2-cycle her most of the time. Sometimes it might take a 3-cycle. I definitely recommend just playing it safe here. You don't want to decimate your Pikmin population, and you don't want a bunch of leaves. Alright, so we're going to take 1, throw it, see her health circle, perfect, whistle, wait for her to wake up, and then swarm. She made that noise twice, we're going to whistle here. While she's doing her attack animation, you're going to want to run into one of these little wells over here. You need to C-stick forward into the well so that your Pikmin don't get crushed. Wait for the dirt to entirely settle, and then C-stick into her again. Alright, so we did manage to kill her. After you kill her, you're going to throw 12 to 15 purples on the corpse, and then get ready to try to load this up with as many reds as possible. Alright, I actually only threw 10, that should be fine. If you underload this, just make sure to speed it up, okay? We definitely want that corpse. It is worth 15 Pokos, which is quite a lot. Alright, so that is one of the few that you do have to collect. Another exploration kit treasure, so we'll have some text boxes to skip through. And we are going to see another cave complete here, so just be prepared for that. I'll go ahead and don't say. Alright, so the directional thing that we've talked about in caves also applies when you're above ground, which is great. So I'm going to press L, and that's going to center my captain, and I'm always going to be facing this direction. That's going to set me up for where I'm moving next pretty well, okay? So you'll whistle all your Pikmin, and then you're going to run over here. I like to C-stick pretty much the whole way. Just be careful of those shear grubs there, because your Pikmin will latch on. So C-stick, C-stick, C-stick. As soon as your captains get past this little stump, dismiss, and then you're going to want to whistle all the purples, okay? Now we're going to throw our purples up on the bag, and you'll want to push forward with the joystick around the purples. We're going to activate a little cutscene here that's going to make early visible here, okay? So you see this little light patch right here, that's kind of where you want to run. Perfect. You're going to switch captains, whistle all of your Pikmin, and then we are going to enter White Flower Garden, okay? Alright, this is another sublevel that is always the same, so highly recommend pressing L at the very start. This will always get you oriented in this direction. Whistle all your Pikmin. There are going to be 3 guys here. Just ignore them. Do not C-stick through there. Your Pikmin will grab on. There is 1 treasure on this floor. We are going to try to collect it. It can be at the end of any of these little square alcoves here. So just look off in the distance. If it is in one of the 2 side alcoves, it is pretty easy to move your Pikmin past and not have any eaten. If it is in this end alcove, I do recommend just killing all the purple guys. You don't want them to eat your purple Pikmin. Alright, those are really, really useful right now, and we don't want to do that. Alright, so you're going to run over here, C-stick forward so that reds mostly grab it. Come back through, spam throw purples if you need to kill enemies. Collect everything as much as you can. Alright, so he actually did get a Pikmin, but that's okay. Just a red Pikmin, doesn't matter too much. Definitely want to come back here, kill these guys so they don't kill any more of your Pikmin. Dismiss, and then make sure you're at the exit by the time the treasure comes in, okay? Don't worry if you miss some bug buddies here, not a huge deal. If you feel like you need to kill the guys at the start as well, that's totally fine. Main thing that you want to try to avoid is losing a bunch of purples, alright? So this next floor is going to be another one where we are going to try really hard to figure out where the treasures are on the come down, okay? And if you can't see one of the treasures, that is going to help you know where they are as well, alright? So I'll go slowly again. Alright, so I saw both of the treasures. That's great. However, normally, the most common layout will have the 2 treasures here in the center. Okay, those are really, really easy to see. The treasures that end up in these end alcoves close to you, these square alcoves close to you, are also really easy to see on the come down. The one that you can't see is this far one here, the one that I've kind of zoomed in on the map now. Alright, so if you don't see a treasure, so I saw 2 on the come down, but if you don't see one, it's probably in that far alcove, okay? Now, what you want to do in most cases here is get the further treasure moving first. So in the most common layout, that means running over here to this close one, throwing at least 10 Pikmin, and then running back to the far one. Sorry, I accidentally activated the fire cutscene. Don't worry about that. If you accidentally activate the cutscene, totally fine here. Alright, but ordinarily you'd run over here, throw 10 Pikmin on the diamond, and then run back, and the other treasure would be in here. However, this time, it's back over there. Alright, you see it off in the distance a little bit? So what we're going to do is we're going to do pretty much the same thing. We're going to load 10 Pikmin on the diamond. It's got a max carry weight of 10. That lid has 8, just in case that's the further treasure, so you know. We're going to toss 10 reds so that picks that up, and then we're going to run over to that other treasure and try to pick it up, okay? Again, we're trying to make sure that the lid gets in before the diamond, even though we're getting the diamond moving first, alright? If a purple grabs on, that's okay. Just pay attention in case Blowhog kills it. I also have a little bit of time here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and kill this Blowhog. Alright, if you have a little bit of time, it's okay to try to kill him and try to collect the bug bodies. I would not recommend worrying too much about it, though. And you see, I walked toward the wrong alcove there with the exit, and so because I dismissed my captain, I could switch back and be a little closer to the exit. Okay? Again, do not worry about the bug bodies, the blowhog corpses on this floor. If you collect one, great. Your main concern, though, should be getting the 2 treasures moving in as quickly as possible. Alright? Next floor is another one that is always oriented the same, so you're going to want your first input on the floor to be L. That'll center you and make you face the same direction. We're going to grow 15 whites and collect 1 treasure on this floor. So, whistle. You're going to C-stick forward until you pass this little corner, and then stop. Make a hard left turn there. Throw 5 reds in each. If you find yourself underthrowing, you can try overthrowing there, so you can try throwing 6 in each. It's okay, you just need to make sure to whistle at the end. If you overthrow, you need to whistle. If you underthrow, you need to make sure to throw an extra red in there before you start plucking. It's going to be pretty difficult to get a red Pikmin in your hands after you start plucking, okay? So if you happen to underthrow, just get it fixed before you start plucking your Pikmin, alright? If you overthrow, whistle immediately after you've thrown off all the candy pop-ups are gone, okay? We're going to pluck 10 whites here. And you want the 10 whites that you pluck to be the 5 from this flower and the 5 from this front flower, okay? Oop. It's okay if you pluck one of the other flowers or whatever, it doesn't matter too much. As we move over here, you're going to want to C-stick forward and try to get all of your white Pikmin kind of in one spot there, okay? See how they're all nice and lined up there? That's great. Alright, because now we're going to swarm our Pikmin all on the other side. You can dismiss if you need to, if you only have 1 captain. If your other captain is with you, be careful with dismissing though, because you need the other captain to help pluck some more Pikmin. Alright, so after you get your reds and purples on it, you're going to whistle off your whites, and this is so that we can nectar them. So you're going to whistle off your whites. If you don't whistle them all off, totally fine. Even if you only whistle off like 2 whites, totally fine. Gonna come over here to this nectar egg. Go ahead and get him. Alright, so all my Pikmin are currently active on the nectar. So what I can actually do is dismiss, and those Pikmin are going to stay with me, but my other captain won't. This will help make this next trick a little easier. It's also helpful if, for instance, you say you only have white leaves and you want to take whites with you after nectaring, and you just want to take whites with you after nectaring, you can do the same thing, and only the Pikmin that got nectared are going to stay in your party, okay? So you see, Captain stays behind, and I've got this with you. You're going to try to whistle off his purples if you can. If you can't, totally fine. You're going to whistle off a few Pikmin, and then C-stick forward so that whites grab on instead. Alright? While that's going in, you're just going to run to the exit as quickly as possible. Alright, the next floor is going to be one where we're going to want to try to see what is going on the come down, okay? So, if you can't see the treasure, that probably means it's pretty far away, which sucks, but it's okay. We're looking for the chapstick this time. Alright, so we ended up in this room. We actually can see the chapstick kind of off in the upper right corner there. That's pretty rare that we could see it while we're in this room. There are poison geysers all over this floor, so we're going to use our whites. So you're going to whistle all of your Pikmin and then dismiss, and then just whistle your white Pikmin. I accidentally whistled a purple there, so I'm going to grab a white, switch to purples, and throw one off to the side. Now, Sometimes the treasure will spawn up here. In this particular layout, it will never spawn up here, but sometimes it will spawn on top of the stump in this stump room. The way to deal with that is by running up this side and then throwing your Pikmin on there, okay? We see that he is just in an alcove right now, so we would walk over here. You can swarm them into it. I usually recommend dismissing, especially early on. But I do want to show the other location that the treasure could possibly be. Most of the time, it's sitting just on the ground here, but it can be in a couple high-up locations. The first stump that I showed, and this kind of half stump. All right, so if the treasure is here, it'll be where the mushroom is now. More on the mushroom in a second. But you'll throw a few whites up here, and then you're going to want to C-stick around so that your Pikmin grab onto that treasure, okay? The chapstick requires a minimum of 6, so you're going to want to throw at least 6 whites up there. I recommend throwing somewhere between 8 and 10. All right, so I mentioned we talked about the mushroom in a second. So the mushroom is a treasure that is only worth 30 Pokos. However, every cutscene you see costs 10 seconds. And if you get all the treasures in a cave, you get a cave complete cutscene that is another 8 seconds. Alright, so if we were to collect that mushroom, we would be wasting 18 seconds for a treasure that is only worth 30 Pokos. You may have guessed it, but that is just not going to be worth it in most cases, this one included. So you will always, always, always skip the mushroom. You should never, ever get it. The one other thing that I will want to mention on this floor, we talked about how there are poison geysers all over, and that you really need to be using whites on this floor exclusively. You want to be extra, extra careful not to get your reds and purples near poison geysers. Alright, we need the poison cutscene, so the first time a Pikmin experiences a hazard, a cutscene will play. And we need that cutscene to set up a trick that we're going to do on the very next split called Early Blues. Alright, so just be very, very careful not to activate the poison cutscene. If some of your Pikmin trail off into it, you can whistle them before the cutscene activates. That's fine. But just be extra, extra careful, especially early on, not to activate that because we need it. Alright, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and exit this floor. We're going to see another boss level. Again, this sub-level is always the same. The boss sub-levels are always the same. So you can press L at the start. You'll always be facing the same direction. Sets you up for success. Okay? We were already facing that direction on this one, so even though I pressed L, my camera position did not change. That can happen sometimes too, so don't get freaked out. Don't keep mashing L. If you happen not to nectar all of your whites on White Flower Garden 3, you're going to want to come over here and throw 3 or 4 reds on the eggs so that you can get nectar from them in a second and nectar your Pikmin. I'm going to go ahead and show you how you'll nectar just in case you do it, okay? Now, we are going to try to manipulate the Snagrit's damage cap as much as possible, alright? So I am going to approach over here very gingerly, and we're going to try to throw all of our purples on his face. If we don't get them all on his face, what can happen is that he will go back underground if you've done too much damage to him. And if he goes back underground, he'll shake off Pikmin, that'll cause some of them to become leaves, and that's not desirable. Now that still happens to even the best runners, so don't worry if it happens to you. But just try to emulate what I'm doing here, and it should work most of the time, okay? So we're going to try to get our reticle lined up so that our purple Pikmin arc and land directly on his face, alright? So highly recommend approaching slowly at first. Alright, so we see him. And then as soon as his head is all the way up, we're going to throw our purples on his face like we said, okay? And if you're quick enough, that should let you one-cycle him, okay? He is going to try to nab 3 Pikmin. They will almost always be red Pikmin that he tries to eat. Most of the time, you can save the Pikmin. Alright, if you don't, totally fine. Reds are not super important. If he eats a white or purple, also totally fine, but like I said, he preferentially eats reds. If you had any leaves, you would want to nectar them while the treasure is spawning. Okay? And then we're going to throw 5 whites on his head. So I only got 3 thrown before the cutscene, so I want to make sure to throw another few. I overthrew, totally fine. You're going to try to get the rest of your whites and reds on there. Alright? The only really important thing here is that we're trying to get both the treasure and the body corpse in. Okay? Alright, so the treasure that we're about to get on this floor is called the knapsack. It is hands down the most important treasure we collect in the run. It's about to break this game a ton. We're going to use the knapsack exploit to knapsack waypoint of use to get to a bunch of areas early. Okay, so it'll make sense when I show the first one, but if you lay down, a Pikmin will pick up your captain and try to carry them to the nearest waypoint. We can abuse waypoints to move up ledges and do some other really useful things, okay? Also, this is going to be the first cave where you are not going to see cave complete, and you won't see cave complete for any of the other caves. So you can just mash through and then make sure when the save text box pops up to go down to don't save. I'm going to save here, and I highly recommend beginners save here as well, because early blues is about to happen, and it is the hardest trick you are going to do in this run, hands down. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and save here. Perfect. Again, I lost a red there. I don't care too much. Even if I lost a purple, I wouldn't care too much. You're totally fine to keep going on the run. One thing that's nice is it's pretty forgiving. All right. So press L so you kind of center yourself. Now, we are going to first use a knapsack exploit to get up this ledge over here. Okay? So you're facing this way. You've whistled all your Pikmin. You're going to turn to the right. You're going to grab a Pikmin, and then switch your Pikmin, excuse me, until you have purples, okay? Slowly walk over here. Well, not slowly. Walk over here. Throw 2 purples up, 2 reds, and then you're going to want to throw 1 red right next to this plant. Okay? Now, you're going to want to dismiss your Pikmin over here so that they don't bother you, because we're going to be doing the knapsack right next to this plant. Okay? So you generally want to stand just a little to the left of the plant here, and then you're going to knapsack. Alright? Your Pikmin is going to pick you up, and then most of the time it should carry you up the ledge. Alright, a few different things can happen here. So that time worked first time. The other thing that you might see happen... let me see if I can get it to happen. It's something like that. So you saw that time I didn't press A quickly enough, and so I fell back down the ledge. The other thing that can happen is that you get stuck on the ledge. Alright, and let me try to force this to happen so you can see what it looks like. Goodness, this is maybe a little silly. Man, okay. Alright, but anyway, you can also get stuck on the ledge. Just cancel out of the knapsack. Oh, there we go. That was that. See, that would have got me stuck. Alright, so you see you can also get stuck on the ledge like that. Alright, so just cancel out of the knapsack, run over here, toss your Pikmin, and try to knapsack back up. This is a very particular knapsack, so if it takes you a few tries to get it, that's totally fine. Sometimes this red Pikmin will follow you up the ledge, sometimes it won't. If it doesn't follow you up the ledge, it's going to get stuck down here. It's going to show that it's in your party until we get to a little too far away, but don't worry too much about it. You don't need it. That's why we threw 2 reds up here with this, okay? So after that, you're going to whistle... After you get up here, you're going to whistle the 2 reds and 2 purples. Again, you might have a 3rd red with you. It doesn't matter too much. You're going to run over here, grab a purple on your way up, throw 1 purple, and then a 2nd purple. If you had a 3rd red with you, you would want to throw it off to the side now, because we need 2 reds for the next part of this trip. Okay? So I ordinarily wouldn't do this, but we're going to go ahead and stop the dice from moving. Normally you just let it keep going, but I'm going to be demonstrating early blues very slowly. So I want to have the time, and the dice cutscene can interrupt tricks. Okay? But anyway, we have 2 red Pikmin with us, and we're going to perform something called the scale glitch now. Alright, so you're going to come over here, run over the right side of the scale. We're going to face the poison. Alright, this is why we needed the poison cutscene still. You're going to toss a Pikmin into the poison, and then immediately after that, you're going to toss a Pikmin on your 2nd Pikmin on this scale, and have your captain run on this scale. Now, while the cutscene plays, the 2nd scale is going to raise, and your captain is going to clip under the scale. Alright, that's exactly what we want, because it allows us to clip out of bounds. Okay? So, the one thing I do want to mention, the poison cutscene you see, you cannot mash through as quickly as possible. If you do that, your captain is not going to clip into the scale. you have to wait just a tick in order for your captain to clip into the scale. The timing I recommend, and you'll see it when I do it, the timing I recommend is you're going to see the Pikmin jump up and then land back on the ground. I recommend skipping the cutscene as soon as your Pikmin lands back on the ground. Okay? So I'm going to face the Poison Geyser. I will do this trick a couple times, so don't worry too much about that. This time I'm just doing it slowly, and then I'll do it in real time once. Alright? So we're going to run over here, throw one Pikmin into it, throw one up there, and then stand on the scale. Alright? Wait till he lands before you mash start out of the cutscene, and then we're in the scale. Alright? This is good. This is where we want to be. Okay? So be careful not to move out of the scale. If you walk in the direction my reticle is pointing here or here, you will clip back in bounds, and we don't want that. The direction you're going to move is over here towards this ledge, okay? Now, if you gently press forward on the control stick, you're going to see that you're stuck here. You can't move past this, and what it is you're seeing the edge of the scale. All right? We're actually going to clip out of bounds using... we're going to use the scale to clip out of bounds, all right? So you're going to want to push forward here as well as maybe up and left a little bit, and eventually you're going to see that you're going to clip past the scale, and if you look here, you see that we've now moved out of bounds. You're going to want to keep moving forward until your reticle at maximum extension is placed pretty much on the center of this left leaf here. All right? So we're in a pretty good position now, okay? Now, the next step is we're going to turn our reticle. So this is going to take a light touch. Press L so that you're centering your captain, and we're going to aim for kind of halfway along the rock. All right, so you see that dark spot on the rock at the very top of the screen? That's kind of where we're aiming for, okay? Because that's going to be a good midway point to reset our angle. All right? So once you've lined that up, you're just going to run forward. All right? When you're in this spot, really, you see where my reticle is placed, how it's on the flat side of the sheer side of the rock? That's perfect. Don't go too much further or we're going to clip back in bounds, all right? Now you're going to want to set up this angle a little bit, and you're going to want to aim just to the right of this corner here, all right? So you see the corner where the rock and the brown ledge come together. You're going to want to aim just to the right of that corner, all right? Don't worry too much about this ledge and the rock. It is fairly large. Just follow these movements and you should be okay. All right? So now that we're just to the right of that, we're going to move forward. And once we're in this spot, once we're past the rock, you have pretty free range, all right? So we just want to stay to the right of this seam here, all right? So you don't need to be very careful. You can move pretty quickly. The ledge here is especially large. All right, and you're going to want to move so your reticle is just past this leaf, okay? Then you're going to, again, with a light touch, turn just a little more than 90 degrees, and you should see your reticle direction should kind of line up with that leaf. And I'm going to try to show you the point that I aim for, all right? So there are a couple dark spots right here. I am trying to aim so that my captain goes right in between those two dark spots, okay? I'll keep the arrow on screen while I do that. This is also, as I enter the first dark spot, I am also going to be pressing X, okay? So when you press X, that is going to allow you to knapsack, and that's what allows early blues to happen. If you don't press X, you're just going to warp back the star, and that's not what we want, all right? So I'm going to line this up. This setup as well will work if you do not activate the blues cutscene. We already activated it. That's the cutscene I talked about earlier. But if you do not activate that cutscene, this will totally work still. Okay? So we're going to line up. And then you're going to want to push forward pretty forcefully and press X at the time that I mentioned. All right? So we're going to hope this works. If it doesn't, totally fine. It happens sometimes. We'll explain what may have gone on afterward. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and try this. All right, so it worked. So the way that I can tell it immediately worked is you see that I've warped over to the blue onion area, and 2, you see that the little light on the top of Olimar's head is still lit. If you soft lock, that light won't still be lit. And the soft lock is what happens when you come over here and you get stuck in the ground. Okay? So, if you soft lock, what that means most of the time is that you've pressed X too early. If you warp back to the start, that means you pressed X too late. If you warp to somewhere by White Flower Garden instead of where we are now, instead of in the Blue Onion area, that means you have your angle is either off, your direction is off, or you pressed X too early. It could be either of those in most of those cases, all right? I highly recommend practicing this trick a lot. It is a difficult trick. Very difficult. It is the hardest trick in the entire run, so definitely worth practicing as much as possible. All right, I'm actually running out of time on this day, so now that I've done this trick once, I'm going to go ahead and reset my console, and I will just show this trick, what this trick should look like in real time. All right? There are also tons of other tutorials on early blues out there. Feel free to check those out as well. If you are struggling with this trick as well, feel free to hit up the Discord. Definitely the hardest trick in the run, so do not feel bad if you're struggling with it. All right, so this is the save that I'm working with, so I'm going to go ahead and enter. And again, I'm going to be doing all this in real time. I'll try to explain it as I go, but I'll be moving pretty quickly, okay? All right. Center myself, then turn to the right a little bit. Whistle all my Pikmin. 2 purples up here, 2 reds, 1 red by the plant. Knapsack, I got stuck, that's okay. Try again. Perfect. That knapsack is really finicky, so if it takes more than one try, totally fine. Just keep trying. Switch to purples, throw 1 purple, throw a red aside, throw another purple up there. You can throw the red aside after if you want as well. We're going to run on this scale. Into the poison cutscene. Pikmin there. Onto the scale with our captain. Wait until he lands to skip the cutscene. I like to go into over camera mode here because it helps me see where I'm going. Move slowly up here until you've kind of lined up with the center of the left leaf there. Turn your camera and line up with the dark spot on the rock. Run forward. Change your camera again and align just to the right of that corner. Once you've passed the corner, turn left and just keep running forward until your reticle is just past the leaf. Turn a little more than 90 degrees so that your captain is lined up here, is lined up with those 2 dark spots, which should still be shown on the screen. Run forward, press X as you cross those 2 spots, and I actually soft locked, okay? So totally happens. I'm just going to do the trick again. But this just goes to show that even the most experienced runners will soft lock this trick, all right? So we're going to try it one more time. The general premise is still the same. So I know now, because I soft locked, that I probably pressed X too early. All right, so I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm moving forward. All right, I'm going to turn off this arrow as well. All right, so you also see you can kind of turn as that starts. You don't have to press L immediately. Well, you can press L immediately, but you can also turn a little bit as that cutscene starts. But 2 purples, 2 reds, throw 1 red here. Dismiss your Pikmin and then knapsack up. Perfect. Sometimes you'll grab a red here instead of a purple. It's okay, just switch. 1 purple, 2 purples. Toss your red aside. Run over the scale. Toward the gate, on the scale, other captain on the scale. Wait till he lands before you exit out. Run forward. So you see my reticle is lined up with that left leaf. I'm gonna turn, gingerly touch, of course, line up with the dark spot on the rock, move forward. Now again, angle your camera so that you're just to the right of the corner there. Run forward. line up straight, move forward again, just past the leaf, turn a little more than 90 degrees so you line up with the leaf. I like to do large camera here, really helps see a lot more. Remember the spot that I talked about, look at it, keep an eye on it as you move past it. Alright, and then we got early blues. Okay? So that is a really tough trick. If you got it, congratulations. Keep working at it. Definitely always worth to practice it. Alright? I highly recommend while you're early on in speedrunning this game to practice that trick at least 5 times a day. Okay? Might seem excessive, but that's what you're going to do. It's going to help you the most. Alright? Now, once you're over here, you're going to whistle all of the blue Pikmin that are loose. They might be anywhere in this little water area, so just keep that in mind. There should be 5. You're going to throw the 5 Pikmin on here, and then switch captains. Alright. So the dice cutscene has already happened. Normally, this wouldn't happen until you are already on your way over to Staggered Hole, okay? Doesn't matter too much if it happens early, as long as it doesn't interrupt anything. In this case, it didn't interrupt anything, so that's great. If it happens early, if you know you took a little too long in early blues and it's getting carried in, totally fine. Let it carry in. Just whistle all your Pikmin from under the onion. Otherwise, there are going to be 2 purples in general that'll be left behind. They will obviously go into the ship as you enter the cave, so you don't need to worry about having them left behind, and you don't need them in the cave either. All right, so I'm going to whistle all of my Pikmin. Whistle the guys that are under the ship as well if the dice has come in. If the dice has not come in, do not whistle the Pikmin off the dice. You want to grab 1 white Pikmin and throw it right here. Okay? Now, you want to aim really just on this dandelion where my cursor is now. The one to my left there actually has butterfly spectralids in it, so you want to be careful not to let your Pikmin bump into it, because if your Pikmin bump into it, the spectralids are going to come out, and then the Pikmin you're throwing are going to hit them, and that's going to be a pain. If you do happen to activate the spectralid, what I recommend is moving over here and throwing your Pikmin up just to the left of this dark spot, okay? A little harder, and you don't want to stand right on the edge, because then your Pikmin won't go up. You'll need to stand a little away. But over here, you can stand right on the edge. It's perfect, right? So we're going to throw all of our Pikmin up here. And I'm actually going to switch. You wouldn't normally do this, so ignore what I'm doing now. I just did that for a reason, don't worry. But anyway, so after you've thrown your Pikmin up here, you're going to whistle the 1 white Pikmin. You're going to throw him back down, and we're going to knapsack. Okay? Now, white and purple Pikmin, when they're the only things carrying things, will arbitrarily choose an onion color to carry you back to. You need the Pikmin to choose the blue onion for this to work. Alright? With the current blue onion location, you need it to pick the blue onion so that you can get up here. Alright, there is only a 1/3 chance of it being the blue onion. Alright, so you need to be prepared if it's a red onion to cancel the knapsack and then retry. Alright, you're always going to want to be laying in about this spot. Okay? Now, if you see the blue, you need to be sure not to cancel it. Something that can happen fairly often is that runners will accidentally cancel what would have been a successful blue knapsack. One strategy that I think really helps with that is saying the color that you see out loud before you press any buttons. And what that'll help do is that'll help prevent you from accidentally, canceling what would have been a successful blue knapsack. All right? So red. I'm a little too far over, so we're going to whistle them again and do that. Red. Blue. And so I don't cancel the knapsack. Okay? You're going to whistle all of your guys. There is a mum right here, so just be careful to avoid him. Move over here to the left. There is also a Snagret over in this area where my cursor is. It's really unlikely that you're going to activate him, so just kind of stay over here to the left where this light spot is, okay? Put all your Pikmin on the gate, and then you're going to switch back. Ordinarily, remember I switched back earlier to do this whistle, but ordinarily you would need to whistle all of your Pikmin under here. Then you're going to throw 1 on here, 1 on here, 1 on here, and then speed up those carries, alright? So you should put 1 on the first one and 2 on each of the second ones, okay? Pluck your Pikmin while those go in. And pluck, pluck, pluck. You should end up with 16 blues here. Sometimes you'll have extras. That's perfect. We like having extras. Other times you won't. Alright? Now, after you've plucked all 16 of your blues, you're going to switch back to your other captain, and you're going to get ready to enter Snagger Hole. Alright? We are about to see another floor that is always the same, so press L at the start and that'll orient you in the same direction every time. We're already oriented that direction, which is great. So this sublevel is pretty simple. We're only going to be going for one treasure here, even though there are two on this floor. The other one is really not worth very much. There can be these purple sheer grubs here, 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 or here. There are 4 sheer grubs total, and 2 can show up in any of the locations, alright? If a sheer grub shows up in this front location, or this kind of middle location here, you'll need to kill them, alright? So after you whistle all your Pikmin, you're going to move up here, move up here. I'm going to swarm these guys, and I'm going to dismiss as I after they're swarmed, okay? That'll kill them, and that will mean no Pikmin will follow me up here. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is use our captain to lure this orange Bulborb down closer to us, alright? He walks faster than our Pikmin can carry a treasure, so it helps cut out quite a bit of time. Okay? So we're gonna move up here, stand right by him, and then move down. His range of notice is pretty large, so that's okay. Alright, he accidentally got a purple, that's totally fine, but anyway, you saw him come forward, and eventually he'll come enough forward, and if there are no Pikmin in his path, the Bulborb we're talking about, if there are no Pikmin in his path, he's gonna start to turn around. You're going to want to switch to purples and try to mash him as soon as he turns around. I was a little late here, okay? So you're going to want to try to start smashing him early. I was trying to deal with that guy. But after that, you're going to let your purples grab the orb and load up mostly whites on the Bulborb corpse, okay? We want to try to get that Bulborb corpse, but if you don't, that's fine. Alright, and then just so you know, the outer end of his range is really about where this little stump piece is located. So that's a good point to look for if you're struggling to figure out where he's going to turn around, alright? As soon as he turns around, you're going to spam throw purples and try to kill him. I will say, you'll want to spam throw purples kind of toward the edge of his body. So if you imagine his body is kind of, you know, like a pear shape or something, you're going to want to be toward the edges of that. And the reason that is that makes it more likely that a purple pound damage is going to happen, or stun damage is going to happen, which is what we want. All right. If you don't get a stun, if you lose a couple of Pikmin, totally fine. Be careful not to lose 5 or 6 purples here. He will eat 5 Pikmin at a time, and losing 5 purples to him is really bad. So I do definitely recommend at the start to wait for him to turn around. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and get into Snagger Hole 2. And so far, we haven't seen very many layouts that are very different. But this is one that has a ton of variability, okay? So here's what I recommend doing at the start. You are going to press X and run out with one of your captains, okay? So you see this captain is over here by himself, no Pikmin. You're then going to switch captains, whistle all of your Pikmin, and throw aside 5 reds. Okay, 5. We're going to do that so we can use those reds to grow whites later, alright? Now, normally the white candy pop bud is off in this direction, okay? It's off away from wherever this bucket room is. Alright, so keep that in mind. Sometimes it might be off the bucket room, so also keep that in mind. Just keep an eye out for it. The other thing you need to check for at the start of the sublevel, and I recommend holding R so that you go down into this first person or low down view. And what this allows you to do is see where treasures are located. Alright, so we see that the sushi is over there. The treasure we're looking for in this sublevel is the strawberry, which is going to be, because I know that the strawberry is not over there, I know the strawberry has to be off in the other direction. We can see it here, but you want to make sure that the strawberry is not off in that direction, because if it is, you need to go in that direction. Otherwise, your default is going to be to go up here. Okay? Now, We actually don't need to deal with the mums, but I do want to show a quick strategy for dealing with them that it can be really, really helpful. You can also just spam throw purples to kill them. But the helpful thing here is just throwing one red on them. Alright? And so what this red will pretty much successfully do is distract him for the rest of the sublevel. Things will usually move past him. He might eat one or two off of treasures and enemy corpses that move past him, but he's not going to eat most things. He might bump some off sometimes too. Just keep an eye out. Most of the time that won't happen though. Alright? And so obviously the reason this is helpful is that he's just going to be stuck in that one spot. Alright? And we'll check back in a second. Okay? But anyway, as you're moving over toward the strawberry, you can ignore enemies if you're able to. Ignoring enemies is definitely preferable to killing them, but if you feel like you need to kill them, that's okay too. I would especially kill enemies that are going to be located near the treasure, like right by the treasure, because you are very liable to have like Pikmin bunched up in a group there, and they might eat them. So like these burrow-knits here are pretty close to the treasure, so they were pretty likely to try to eat something. Okay? Sometimes a little shearwig can spawn there, so you can either try to throw purples. He'll spawn right in front of it in the same spot every time, so you can try to throw whites to kill him, or you can load this up with mostly whites and then swarm him with your reds. Alright? As soon as you get the strawberry moving, assuming you killed things in the way, if you need to kill anything, do that first. You're going to switch captains, whistle your 5 reds, and we're going to move toward the white candy pop bud. Alright? So I'm going to ferry my Pikmin across the water here. You can also do this with a larger group of Pikmin. Sometimes enemies will be in the water, which might make it a little more complicated, but I recommend just ignoring them. Worse, they'll eat 1 or 2 Pikmin. But the best way, so we're going to, also, one other thing that I want to mention. If you off-screen enemies, they're not going to load. So you see you actually can't hear the mum that just spawned at all anymore because I went into this camera view. So if you're in a smaller camera view, the enemies are not going to spawn off-screen. Okay, they're generally only going to move or spawn if they're on-screen. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. Now that being said, if Pikmin move by them, they will move, but most of the time Pikmin can move pretty quickly past them. All right, and the Pikmin have to move pretty closely past them. But anyway, all right. So here you're going to see me ferry these Pikmin across this water. You can do this with a larger group of Pikmin. Sometimes you will have to do this with your entire group of Pikmin. Sometimes the sushi can be in the water, but the strawberry will never be in the water on this level. Okay, so you're just going to whistle twice as you move forward and C-stick forward into the water, okay? That is very easily going to place you across it, all right, along with all your Pikmin. All right, I definitely recommend practicing that a few times because it is going to be, the downside there is if your Pikmin drown, then your run's probably over. If a bunch of Pikmin drown, then your run's probably over, so just practice it. All right, we're going to try to one-shot this guy. Again, 1 shearwig can show up in front of it, so we're going to try to one-shot this guy. Great. Going to throw 5 whites in here. Switch our captains back and set ourselves up at the exit. And keep in mind, ordinarily, we've taken a little extra time, so it's not happening here, but ordinarily, the strawberry would be going in while you're doing this as well. All right, so you're going to switch captains, come back here, pluck your 5 whites, make sure that the strawberry's gone in. Do not skip the strawberry. It's 190 Pokos. You cannot skip it. As soon as you pluck your 5 whites, you're going to switch back, and then you can go down to the next floor. Okay? Definitely get the 5 whites on that floor. Will be tremendously helpful, especially moving forward. They really speed things up. All right? All right, so this next floor has 2 possible locations that a snagger can spawn in. The locations are always going to be kind of directly in front of where my reticle is facing, and then 180 degrees behind it, so in this direction. All right? So you can very easily tell, depending on which direction you move, which snagret has it. All right? So you see as I move toward this snagret, my treasure gauge is going down. That very clearly tells me that this snagret that's over here does not have it. So I'm going to go in the other direction. All right? This snagret has less health than the other one, so you're going to want to grab a purple wait for him to spawn. And we're going to do a similar kill to what we did in White Flower Garden, but just know that he's less health, alright? Probably want to throw a few whites too. They're going to help carry in the treasure faster. If the snitch bug grabs some Pikmin, that's okay. Just throw a couple purples on it and pluck those Pikmin after he plants them. The exit here is going to be located in one of these alcoves behind a gate. I recommend, as the snacker is dying, look in the two alcoves right by it. So these two here, this one with the egg and the one that actually has the exit. See if it's there. If it's not there, the best strategy, in my opinion, is to pause. And you can press down on the C stick as you pause, and that'll make your camera go out. And that'll help you see where the exit is, okay? Then run toward the exit, get Pikmin on the gate. Again, he grabbed these guys. If he's just holding Pikmin, as long as he hasn't planted them, he's going to plant them. But if he's just holding Pikmin, they will come with you on the next floor still. The reason this floor is worth it, even though that treasure is only 40 Pokos, is because, one, we get the Snaggered Head, which is worth another 10 Pokos, so it's kind of worth 50. The other thing is, we're already going to be waiting for the gate to come down anyway, and so we're minimizing our downtime as much as possible. That's a big strategy in the run, where if you're going to have downtime, we want to do something useful during it anyway. Okay, so normally just running straight to the gate, we'd have downtime waiting for the gate to go down. So what we do is we kill the Snaggered, let the Snaggered Head go in while the gate goes down. Great strategies. Alright. This next floor, we're going to see our first enemy that's going to fall from the sky. So this enemy will be randomly placed somewhere in the sublevel. Okay, it's completely random where he's placed. So on the come down, you're going to be looking for the marble. So I saw it. You can go really slowly if you need to. Your strategy is going to be move in the direction of the marble. If you see your treasure gauge going up for some unexplained reason, that means the falling treasure is in the vicinity. Okay, the falling treasure is in an armored cannon beetle. All right, so I'm gonna move over here, and my treasure gauge is going up, so it could be over here, but I think I'm just getting signal from the marble. All right, when we get closer, we'll find out for sure. All right, definitely recommend killing enemies on this floor. They can be a big pain. All right, and then general strategy here is going to be to throw 10 reds, or a few reds and a couple purples on that. And then we want to make sure real quick that it's not over here. It actually is. So you saw when I moved back to this back area, my treasure gauge went up, and that tells me that it's over here. If it wasn't over here, like if my treasure gauge didn't go up, that means I know it's in the other room. So I would then head over to that other room. All right. This floor does have electric gates, so be really careful of those, especially if you have to kill them. Especially if cutscenes activate while you're killing electric gates, that can be especially disastrous, because then their timer no longer lines up with what you thought it was. All right. So I'm going to show you what in my opinion is going to be the best way to kill these cannon beetles. You're going to hear he's going to kind of like suck up air as he gets ready to shoot a boulder. And as soon as you hear him finish his sucking up animation, we're going to be standing right next to him. We're going to C-stick all of our Pikmin into him, and we're going to get a really quick kill. All right? See? Perfect. Now, if that scares you, it is okay to just spam through purples. Again, be careful. He will fling the Pikmin that are on him forward if he goes through that with that animation, and they can fly off the edge. All right, so just be really, really careful to avoid that happening. All right, the other thing I want to mention, there is the cherry on this floor, this treasure. It's only worth 20. If it is completely free, go ahead and get it. I'm not going to get it this run. I would consider this probably a worthwhile run to get it for, because there's no electric gate in front of it, and it's just sitting over here where my other treasures were anyway. But in this case, I'm not going to get it. Again, keep in mind that the reason it's not really worth it to collect a 20 Poko treasure is mainly because we have to sit through the treasure cutscene anyway, which is about 10 seconds. Okay? Here, I'm going to go ahead and swarm these guys after I kill them. And one thing I'd recommend, especially early on, is trying to max load bug bodies as much as you can. That'll help you get quite a few bug bodies, and that can be a difficult thing. Okay? So Pikmin that are under the onion will automatically be with you. So if you're near an electric gate or something, you're trying to run toward the exit, just make sure to match X so they don't come with you. Very important. You don't want all your Pikmin to get zapped on this floor. Okay. But again, the general strategy on that floor is going to be run toward the marble. See if the cannon beetle is near the marble. If it's not, check the other room because that's where it's going to be. Just use the treasure gauge to find the cannon beetle once you've got the marble moving with 10 reds. All right? Now, our next floor is again going to have 2 treasures that have enemies, so they are going to be completely randomly placed. However, we can see one of them pretty easily. So, I would recommend we're looking for an antenna beetle. If you can't see it at the start, I recommend pressing holding R to go into low down mode, and that'll really easily help you see it. You're going to run straight toward the antenna beetle, and we're going to kill him first, alright? So I recommend doing this, and recommend holding a purple with you, kind of spam through a few purples, make sure to hit on top of his body, that'll cause him to flip over, sometimes he'll get stunned too. What I like to do here is now load reds on the whistle, and now we're looking for a small orange bulborb that has another treasure in it. This bulborb can be placed in pretty much anywhere except for alcoves. Alright, and you're going to need to use the treasure gauge, which is now going to work because you killed the antenna beetle. You're going to need to use the treasure gauge to figure out where it is, okay? So I'll kind of show you how my thought process works, alright? So I'm looking back here now. I don't see the treasure gauge going up at all, so I know it's not back there. So I don't have to go super far back there. I'm just going to move on, okay? So the whistle has moved out of this location as well, and I don't see any residual treasure gauge notice here. So sometimes like the bulborb could spawn like where I'm whistling here, but I don't see any treasure gauge, so I know it's not here either. Okay. Now that means it's gonna be in this last room here, and indeed you can see as I start to approach it, my treasure gauge goes up. All right. So be really vigilant and use that treasure gauge and use knowledge of, well, I know the treasure isn't here, so it has to be in that other room, okay? So you're just going to kind of look around for it. If you find bulborbs on the way to the antenna beetle, it's okay to kill them if you want. I would probably recommend it. Keep in mind there are 5 bulborbs on this floor, so if you see all 5 or you see a path, like you see 3 on your way, it's probably in one of those 3, you know, because 3 is 60% of 5. So it's more likely to be there than anywhere else if you know where like 3 are. So definitely check ones that have spawned and keep in mind that there are 5 total. Okay? Alright, so Snaggered Hole 6 is a pretty complex sub-level. I'm not going to go into much detail about collecting any of the extra treasures on this floor. This tutorial is going to assume that you don't collect any treasures. Check out some stuff in the description for information on what your Poko route should be if you do collect extra treasures. However, for the purposes of this tutorial, we're just going to be treating it like we're running straight to the exit. Alright? So the best way to handle this is pause as immediately as you enter and press down on the C stick, and that's going to show you where the exit hole is. All right, so you see it's down there. So we need to go in that direction. All right. Now there can be a gate in front of the exit. All right. So we need to take our Pikmin with us until we've determined that there is no exit. All right. There can also be water in this sublevel, and I'll show you a little bit about it here. Sometimes, so I'm just showing you the water now. We're not doing what we do because it's the wrong direction to go. But sometimes you will need to ferry your Pikmin across this water here. All right. So sometimes you will have to ferry them across this water here. Do not. So this is the direction we need to go. Do not try to ferry them across this pool of water, okay? They will drown. This pool of water I'm running in now, you cannot ferry them from here to here or here to here. They will drown. All right? That's okay because we will always have land to walk on, so if you need to go over this way, obviously this is a very large land area. If you need to go over here to the right, you'll just walk on these land, all right? You will need to C-stick as you move your Pikmin across these ledges. Thankfully, C-sticking into ledges or walls is really convenient, so you can C-stick into the wall and move past here. All right? So, like I said, you're going to run straight to the exits. You're going to locate where the exit is. You're going to look around, and as soon as you get within view of the exit, so like I can see it from back here, I see there's no gate in front of it, you can just dismiss your Pikmin. Okay? Just dismiss and run toward the exit. Alright, careful not to let any Pikmin drown or get caught in the poison. But what I will say is, even if a Pikmin is in the poison cutscene animation or drowning animation, as you as you exit the floor, as long as your Pikmin counter has not updated, your Pikmin will not leave your party. Alright, your Pikmin will not die. It'll show up as deaths at the end of the cave, but it will still be with you when you enter the next floor. Alright, so the name of the game on this floor is once you see the exit, once you know there's no gate in front of it, just hustle. Alright? If there is a gate in front of it, I would recommend killing poison geysers in the way. If the antenna beetle's in the way, you might need to kill him as well, or if snagrets are in the way, kill them. In general, if you do happen to encounter one of the enemies that has treasures in them, go ahead and collect them. They're usually worth it. But again, check out the Poko routing description, or the Poko route in the description for more information on what you should skip and etc. All right, so again, we're not collecting anything here. We're just going to move on. All right, we have yet another boss fight, and remember, boss levels are always the same. So if we press L at the very beginning, we are always going to be facing the same direction. Alright, and this fight is a little complex, and we're going to utilize how his damage cap works and how purple pound damage works to try to get a one cycle on him, okay? Cap Revenge has a much better tutorial on this than I am going to explain here. I'm only going to go through it once. So check out that tutorial if you're struggling with it. Yeah. So basically, what you're going to want to do is grab a red Pikmin. You're going to slowly move forward as you see the Snagret spawn. So as you see the Snagret spawn, it's the pileated Snagret and not the burrowing Snagret that we're used to. So he's got way more health. But as you see him spawn, you're going to try to throw reds on his face, which will then eventually, after you've thrown all the reds on his face, you're automatically going to be throwing purples, and those purples will get pound damage on him. Okay? We're going to slowly move forward. We got fast get up, and so I'm just going to immediately start spamming on his face, okay? Got to place my reticle just below his head and try to get the purple pounds on his face, alright? If you go quickly enough, you should be able to get all the damage done, alright? He, as well, will preferentially eat reds. Sometimes he will eat a purple. That is totally fine, okay? Now, while he is going through his death animation, you should hold R and go into first-person mode and look around and see the exit. The main thing you're looking for is to try to see if there's a gate in front of the exit. Alright, so in this case, there is a gate in front of the exit. So what I would recommend doing is throwing 5 whites and 2 purples on this because it is very close to the ship. If that treasure were really far from the ship, you're going to need to load quite a few whites on it. So probably like 10 whites and 2 purples or something like that. Okay? If there's no gate, just max load everything and run to the gate. Alright? We're going to let that go in, and we're going to try running to the gate so we can get our Pikmin on there. Okay? This is also, if you have a bunch of leaves, if there is an open alcove near where you start that has an egg in it that doesn't have a gate in front of it, it's probably okay for you to go ahead and try to nectar some of your Pikmin here. Alright? I'm not going to worry about it. I just have the whites that I drew on 2, which is totally normal, plus 1 red leaf. So yeah, not going to worry about it at all. Alright, and with that, we are done with Snagret Hole. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save. Now, this next split is going to be pretty complex, and it's probably the most complex split that we have in the run. Okay? So immediately as you land, you're going to buffer up and left to try to run into the blue one. You're going to mash X as you do, take out all of your Pikmin. You're going to very quickly whistle. You're going to throw 1 blue off into the sheer grubs that are over there. He's going to try to kill all 3 of them. Usually he will. You're going to throw 1 near that pellet posy. Gonna try to get one-shots on both of these guys. I recommend just spam throwing until they're dead, alright? Gonna put one on each of them after they're dead. We're gonna run over here. As we start to approach, you're gonna toss that blue Pikmin so that it lands on the ground in front of the bridge. And then you're gonna put the other 11 on the bridge, alright? Then you're going to knapsack back to the captain and switch. You're gonna whistle all of your Pikmin, including the blue Pikmin under the onion. You're going to grab a Pikmin, usually it'll be a white, then you're going to want to switch to purples, toss one purple there, but grab a purple now and hold on to it. This beetle here is always going to spawn, he won't bother you though, so just let him go. Once you get up here, you're going to toss a purple, and then 3 whites. You're going to walk off over here, and then while you're over here, grab another purple, okay? Keep going. 1 purple here, and 2 whites on the second one. Now, this guy is going to take 7 purple hits to kill, so I usually recommend throwing 8 or 9. So after you kill him with purples, you're going to throw 1 purple on the strawberry there. You're going to whistle these guys off, try to grab one of them, and just throw 1 more purple on there. Next, we're going to aim right here and try to throw 1 purple so that this guy spawns. You only need to get 1 hit on him, and then you're going to try to collect all 3 of these guys, okay? Now, sometimes if these 5 pellets spawn in this flower pot here, they won't come down. That is okay. It is going to happen sometimes. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Those Pikmin won't die. You're entering a cave next, so they're not going to be left behind at the end of the day. Just kind of try to keep an eye out for if that's happened, alright? Basically, though, you do want to try to collect all 3 of those so that you can get as many Pikmin as possible. If you're really low on purples, it's okay to just collect 1 or 2 of those 5 pellets, alright? Definitely show preference for blue 5 pellets because obviously they're going to be worth more Pikmin and we're trying to grow blues right now. Alright, so after you get those all on there, you're going to come over here, whistle, try to grab a blue. If you don't, just switch. Throw him right here. Move forward, you're going to get a cutscene as you approach the globe. And then just C-stick all your Pikmin and dismiss until you've got just a couple left in your party, alright? Then you're going to knapsack back again, okay? Once you knapsack back, you're going to switch captains, and we're going to make sure to put a purple on this large corpse. If you do not put a purple, or a blue, sorry, make sure to put a blue on this corpse. If you don't, it is not going to go into the right onion. It's going to go into the red onion, and we really want those blue Pikmin, okay? The other thing that you're going to do is load blues on all of these 5 pellets. So luckily, this last 5 pellet actually did come down on the pot. Sometimes that won't happen, though, okay? So after you've loaded all of those, you're going to walk over here. You're going to want to toss 1 purple and 1 white up there. Alright. And then you're going to take 1 white, and I'm actually going to go over here and stop a few things, okay? So ignore what I'm doing now. This is not part of the speedrun. Normally we'd still be over there. I'm just trying to set a couple things up, okay? So we can really see how the knapsack works. Alright, so again, not what you're normally doing. Normally we're knapsacking up to Bulblack's Kingdom, okay? I'm just trying to set a couple things up so I can do that. I can show you how to do that effectively, okay? So I'm gonna whistle guys off here, and it's just not gonna move for now, okay? So ignore everything I just did. Normally all of those things are coming in while you're doing this pair of tricks, okay? But we're going to do a set of 2 knapsacks that are going to let us get into Bulblack's Kingdom early, okay? So you've thrown 2 purple, or a purple and a white up there, and you've got 1 purple with you. What I like to do is keep this guy with me. What I'll do is go down into lowest camera mode. I will kind of run into this corner as I can, and then press L so that I'm centered. Toss my Pikmin, and then immediately knapsack. And if you do it right, you should kind of see your Pikmin. You should kind of see your captain stall there for a second, and that means it's getting ready to go over this ledge, and you need to be prepared to press X or B or whatever you press to cancel your knapsacks on top of this ledge here. Okay, so you see how I'm on this ledge? Now we can walk up here, and we are going to want to throw our 3 Pikmin just past this little dark spot here, and you're going to want to knapsack kind of in the same spot, okay? And you've got to do this quickly so that all 3 of your Pikmin come with you. Alright, so you see I got stuck on this front part here. That means I'm too far forward. Not a big deal. If you start moving in this direction that I'm moving now, that means you're too far backward. Alright? So just keep that in mind. I also like small camera mode for this. Just helps me see better. I'm pretty much blind. Alright, and we got up there. So maybe the best spot is just in between, like where that second thin line is after the dark spot. Alright, once you're up here, you're going to want to get all of your Pikmin on the Carmex right here. You're going to want to get that moving. And once that gets moving, you can switch back, and when you're over here, again, the strawberry will definitely have gone in. These will normally be walking in. You're going to grow some extra blues. So you're going to throw a couple guys here. Maybe one there. Your goal is to get 55 to 60 blues, alright? If you happen to get too few blues, that is okay. Not a big deal. If you have too many blues, that is also okay. Alright? Most of the time, as long as you have like 45, you're not going to lose too much time. Alright? Now, if you undergrow blues, so if you have fewer than like 55 blues, I highly recommend keeping 5 reds out with you to grow purples in the next cave. Alright? So as all these things are going in, you're going to be plucking your blues after you've grown them. This timing is a little off because I stopped things, if you'll remember. And I am going to do this split again in real time so you all can see that. Alright, but after all the treasures are in, you've grown enough blues, and you've plucked all your blues, you should have all your Pikmin in your party pretty much except for one. You're going to come over here, you're going to put up all your reds. Wait for them all to go in, come over here, take out all your blues. Alright, so you see I'm at 100 Pikmin. If at this point you notice that you're only going to have 95 Pikmin in the field, you should plan to take out reds, okay? So we'll do this. As they're coming out, you can whistle it. I'll help get them in your party a little sooner. We're about to see the sunset message, so I'm going to wait to do the nectar. But this just shows you a really good way to nectar here, alright? So you're just going to push forward through all of these, and all your guys are going to be fine. That sunset cutscene we don't normally see, alright? But if you had 95 Pikmin, so if you had 95 or fewer Pikmin with you, after you've nectared, you're going to run over here, and you're going to take 5 reds back out. Okay, I can't take any out because I have 100 Pikmin in the field, but if you have fewer than 95, you're going to take 5 reds out. If you have, let's say, 96, 97, 98, 99, don't take any reds out, just use blues. It's only going to be worth it if you can use all reds for it, because otherwise it's going to be messy. Okay? But after you've got all your blues nectared, you've got a good number of whites and purples with you still, you should have all 100 Pikmin with you. If you don't, totally fine. You come over here, whistle your captain, and then just enter Bulblax's Kingdom. Okay? You see this little area that I've entered with my captain? So what I like to do is I like to walk into this area, and that puts me really close to where I can whistle my second captain. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and reset this and do this all one more time in real time, just so everyone can see. Again, pretty complex split, so I recommend practicing this one a lot. All right? I'm also going to go as quickly as I can, so definitely watch the first time that I did it for an explanation, because I'm not going to be able to explain quite as much this time around. Okay? Alright, so this is our save. Buffer up left, mash X. Keep mashing X after that cutscene plays, just in case. Withdraw all 16. Do a quick whistle, throw one way off to the side there. He should grab on still. One by the pellet. Try and one-shot these guys. Just spam throw if you need to. One on each of them. Run all the way back here. As soon as you get into the water, just toss that blue. He'll be good. Throw your remaining blues up on the gate, or bridge, sorry. Ooh. It didn't let me knapsack, it was weird. Knapsack back, whistle all your Pikmin, throw one purple on the nectar patch, switch to purples again, come up here, throw a purple and 3 whites, come down here, switch to purples again. See, that blue did end up killing things. So purple, 2 whites, switch to purples, throw at least 8. 1 on the strawberry, whistle those guys off, throw another back on the bowl board. You can kind of long throw this one into there if you're good at it, otherwise be careful. 1 purple on each of these. If this one gets near the water, that's okay, just be careful. Sometimes the Pikmin will try to go in the water, just keep an eye out. Make sure you grab a blue, toss him aside, and run over here. When you get down to a small number of Pikmin, dismiss, and then knapsack, and switch back. Blue on here. Blue on here. That already has a blue, so I'm not going to worry about it. Blue there. And now I actually have an extra blue, so I'm going to go ahead and let it kill those shear grubs while I'm doing this trick, okay? Purple and white up there. Keep your white with you. And get in this corner. Oh, didn't work. That's alright. Just keep trying. That one worked. Whistle all of these guys. When you get 100 Pikmin in the field, you will get a cutscene. Just be prepared for it. It might surprise you. Throw your 3 boys and knapsack up here. So if you cancel that knapsack at the right time, they will automatically grab on. Be very, very careful because cutscenes will interrupt knapsacks. You cannot cancel out of a knapsack for 2 seconds afterward. So just be very, very, very careful with that timing. If you mess up, if the knapsack doesn't work for whatever reason, just take it slow, start over, try from the bottom. You definitely need to take a purple up there with you so that the healing cast can actually get moving. But you see we're just cleaning up a few more blues here. If you needed to grow some extra from the pellet posies, that's great. We had 2 blue 5 pellets though, so we will have plenty of Pikmin. But as things are coming in, we're just plucking, plucking, plucking. Trying to get them all. We got them all. Great. Whistle any guys that might be left over. There shouldn't. Most of them will join your party, but some might be left over. Put up all your reds. You can speed up these things if you want. Definitely recommend speeding up the healing cask if it's far away. Cutscenes can also interrupt nectar, so that can make that pretty difficult. So I recommend, especially early on, trying to get all the cutscenes activated before you try to go over here and nectar your Pikmin. Okay? Alright, and even though I don't have 100 Pikmin in the field, I'm not going to take out any reds. You'll see in Bulblax's Kingdom, we're going to use some Pikmin to grow some extra purples, and we'll just use blues because we have plenty, okay? If you have fewer than 95, take out 5 reds. It'll save you a few extra blues, which is going to be pretty nice, okay? So as soon as you nectar, come over here, walk into this little alcove here and whistle, switch captains, and run, 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 run. And we are in Bulblax's Kingdom, okay? Alright, this first level has 1 treasure that is located inside of an orange bowl board. If he is in a far location, like he is in this one, so you see where he is located far away, the best strategy is going to be to lure him, much like we did on Snagger Hole 1, okay? So what I recommend doing is dismissing your Pikmin, walking over here. He'll wake up, and he'll start following you. Follow, follow, follow. And then just start mashing purples when you see him start to kind of slow down, okay? Now, he can also be located near this other orange bulbor, this one here. So he can kind of be in the front of this room, and that orange bulbor will be in the back of that room. If that happens, it's okay. Just be careful not to let your Pikmin die, okay? Because that back orange bulbor can't wake up. All right, just be really, really careful. You definitely do want to collect this orange bulbor corpse on this one. It is worth 7 and is pretty much free. Alright, so definitely try to collect the bug body on this floor. So I'm actually going to go ahead and let this one go in. Again, ordinarily I would not suggest waiting for bug bodies to go in, but if you know it's going to get in pretty quickly and it's a pretty worth quite a few, or you're going to get quite a few from a few different corpses, yeah, definitely go ahead and let it go in. It's going to be worth it, okay? You got to get about 265 bug bodies throughout the run, so that's the benchmark we're trying to hit. All right? Now we're going to go ahead and go to sub-level 2. Much like a lot of the other sub-levels I mentioned, it is always going to be the same-ish layout, so you can press L and you will always be oriented in the same direction, which is toward the treasure room, which is great. Alright, so you're going to kind of... So this room has a diamond treasure that is up on this little half stump, okay? It is going to travel along this path, and if it does, it's obviously going to walk through these fire geysers. Therefore, I highly recommend killing the fire geysers first, alright? Best way to do that is just by swarming them. You can also dismiss your Pikmin near them, and they'll kill. I activated the point. Just keep whistling your Pikmin, and that'll get them in your party. You don't want very many deaths here, alright? So after you've killed any fire geysers that are going to be in the way, you're going to want to toss at least 10 whites up here. Try not to overthrow it too much, but it's okay if you do. You definitely don't want to underthrow. Overthrowing is better. Then you're going to C-stick up and C-stick them right into the diamond, okay? Now, sometimes these guys will be in the way, so I recommend trying to stun them if you see that they're going after the treasure. You can do that with a single purple. Does not have to hit them, can just be near them and they'll get stunned, okay? You can also kill them if you want. One other quick thing that I want to show you here that you might find helpful with fire. If your Pikmin are on fire and you have both captains with you, so as you see here, you've got a few Pikmin on fire, you can actually switch captains. And that will essentially dismiss all of those Pikmin and they will go off fire. Alright, so if you're struggling a lot with fire, that's something to keep in mind. But you do have to have both captains in your party for that to work. Okay? With that, we're going to go ahead and move on here. So this next floor is going to be one that we are skipping entirely. Alright, so we're going to try to look for the exit hole on the come down. Okay? So I saw where it was, so I know it's off over in this direction that I'm facing now. So I'm just going to run straight through it and exit. Alright, if you're having trouble seeing it on the come down, it's okay to just smash through that come down cutscene and then press start at the very beginning of the sub-level and figure out where it is. Okay? Now, this next sub-level, we are going to attempt to grow purples. Most of the time, there should be a purple candy bot bud here. I will say sometimes it can't spawn. It does not spawn. If it does not spawn, your backup is going to be Bulblax Kingdom 6 or Subterranean Complex 8. Alright, but most of the time, you should get at least one to spawn here. Okay? So you're going to want to kill any electric gates in front of this, otherwise it's going to give you a bad day later. So we're going to do that first. Then you're going to throw 5 blues or 5 reds if you've brought them. If you brought 5 reds, you should dismiss your Pikmin and then just whistle the reds and throw them in, okay? But if you have blues, you can keep everyone in your party. You're going to throw 5 in there, dismiss, and then switch captains. Alright? And then you're going to take the rest of your guys, and now you're going to explore the rest of the level. Okay? There are 2 enemies on the sub-level. One is a glint beetle, one is a wollywog. Both are hidden. Just follow the treasure gauge as best you can. They are completely randomly placed, so there is no way to figure out where they are without looking at the treasure gauge, alright? So be really, really careful on your timing with electric gates, especially if cutscenes are going to happen. You will eventually lose a run to a cutscene activating as you're killing an electric gate. I just promise it's going to happen. But you see the wollywog just spawns out of the ceiling. Just spam throw purples on him. He'll die. He might get stunned. He might not. But 10 to 12 purples will kill him pretty good, okay? His body is worth 7, so it's definitely worth collecting. Also, generally a good strategy if you're trying to collect lots of small things that don't have very far to go you can just throw 1 purple on them. So all these things are obviously heavy, but purples have a carry weight of 10. So I can throw 1 purple on each of them and they'll all get carried in, okay? Really great general strategy to use, all right? And so now we're using our treasure gauge to try to figure out where that second treasure is, okay? It's another glint beetle that's hidden in the ground, okay? All right, so we've got a pretty high thing, so we know he's over here. Yeah, and we see as we move farther in this direction, he moves over here, okay? So we got that spawned, which is great. This is a great floor for bug bodies. So I highly recommend collecting, somewhere between 10 and 15 if you can. Just swarm everything, and as soon as you've got treasures and bodies moving that you want, switch captains, come over here, pluck your purples, switch back, and then be ready for the exit. Okay? If the exit is somewhere else, that's fine. Just run toward it. Again, be really, really, really careful of electricity and cutscenes. Alright? It will ruin your day. Okay? Excuse me. Sub-level 5 is going to be another one that we are just skipping entirely. So you're going to try to see the exit on the come down if you can. If not, just do the swivel thing I talked about before. And you can kind of see the exit off in the distance. It's going to be the thing with the clouds. So do the swivel thing. If you really can't see it, try turning up your brightness. If you still can't see it, it is okay to pause. Alright, and figure out where it is. Okay, well, we're just skipping this floor. It's never going to be worth going for. You should always skip it no matter how close the treasure on that floor is. Okay? Now, this next cave has 2 treasures. One of which is inside an orange bulb orb, and one of which is just a skull sitting out on the ground, okay? You're going to try to locate where the orange bulb orbs are, okay? I'm going to go into low down mode here, and I don't see any orange bulb orbs over there, okay? You can also kind of go into, outer mode here, and I still don't see anything, alright? So I know most likely they're in the other room. If you see that there's an orange bulb orb over here, I would recommend moving a little closer toward it. And if you see your treasure gauge start to kick up, that means it's the one that's got the treasure. There are 2 on this floor. One does not have a treasure, obviously. If you can, move toward it and you start seeing it has the treasure in it, go ahead and spam throw purples on it, kill it, try to collect its corpse as well. Throw a few purples, a few blues if you need to, however quickly it needs to move. It's also really helpful. So let's say it were that bulb orb was right here. You can do the same luring thing I've talked about before to lure it. So, you could just dismiss all your Pikmin right here. Like I said, it was placed right here, so I'd wake it up, and it'd follow me, past this fire geyser, and now I don't have to kill the fire geyser, okay? So, a big thing in speedrunning is just doing the things that you have to, okay? Doing no extra work, because that's slow and wastes time, alright? So, I killed him. I'm going to go ahead and take the time to collect him. General rule is if you are taking the time to kill an enemy, you should also be taking the time to collect it. Alright, this is a bit of an odd layout, but there can be some Mitites. Just ignore them. Alright, so I'm getting close to this guy, and I see that he's the one with the treasure. Okay, so I'm going to spam throw purples. And we're going to kill his little boys too. Well, not his, yeah. Here, there is a fire geyser, and normally, that actually did not happen this time, but normally there is a bomb in this alcove as well. Okay, so when a Pikmin gets under the bomb spawn location, the bomb is just going to fall down. Okay, does not mean the treasure has to be lifted up out of the ground. All right, it's just going to spawn. My recommendation is going to be to whistle all of your Pikmin off as soon as you see the bomb coming. Okay. You're going to whistle and then run away, okay? Because sometimes Pikmin can get caught on it. Alright? If you don't, some Pikmin might die to the bomb. If you have a few deaths, as always, it's totally alright. Just keep going with the run, do the best you can, but really try to be safe and know that a bomb normally spawns here. Alright? One did not spawn in this case, however. Okay? But anyway, we're going to try to get, mostly whites and blues on this. Mostly blues on this other treasure because it's going to get moving first. So I forgot that I had to kill this guy, and so I'm going to let him die. I'm going to go ahead and kill him. And the reason I can do that is because I knew that there was no bomb here. All right, so I knew that something had already spawned. It was the egg, and if the egg spawns, there is no bomb. Okay. Similarly, I could go back and kill that guy when I did, if I knew there was a bomb, but I'd already dealt with it. All right. And as you see here, there's the other orange bulb that does not have the treasure in him. Okay. So again, your general goal on this floor is going to be to locate the orange bulb that has the treasure, collect that, and then figure out where the skull is too. All right. Definitely need to kill fire geysers that are in your way, kill enemies in your way, etc. Okay, lure the bulb if you need to. Watch out for the bomb. All right, and if you need to grow purples on this floor because you didn't get a candy pop bud spawn on Bulblex Kingdom 4, that is totally fine. Okay. All right, and with this, we're going to be approaching the last floor of part 1 here. So this is another boss level. So again, press L at the start and you will always face the same direction. All right, 3 fire geysers here. You're going to want to take all 3 of them out. So notice which one turns on first. Swarm your Pikmin on that one and then swarm it on the other 2 as they go out. Okay? If your Pikmin start catching on fire, that is okay. Just wait, just be patient. If you've swarmed all your Pikmin or dismissed your Pikmin near those gates, or near the geysers, they should die. Wait until they're all dead before you whistle your Pikmin. Okay, I know that sounds a little scary, and if you're worried about it, go ahead and whistle your Pikmin earlier, but go ahead and try what I said as well. Okay? As soon as those fire geysers are down, you're going to move past, take a wide berth on him. He's got a pretty large hitbox, so be really, really careful, especially if you've got purple leaves with you. You're going to get most of your whites and blues on the gate, and then maybe a couple purples. Totally fine if you don't get any purples on it. You need about 15, maybe 18 purples to do this trick well. Early on, I definitely recommend having more purples, okay? We're going to get a really, really quick kill on Emperor Bulblax here. So you're going to kind of slowly approach here, aim kind of right in between his eyes, and then just spam purple, okay? And you should be able to watch his health go down really quickly. All right, as soon as you do that, come over here, whistle all your Pikmin, dismiss, and then whistle your whites. I'm going to go ahead and whistle my 20th white. Cutscene will happen, so just be prepared for that. Now, we have 20, we only need 15, so you're going to try to throw 5 off to the side as you can, and you're going to throw 1 more off to the side that we're going to use for something else here. So, try to learn the animation, or the timing of the fire geyser animation. You're going to want to start spam throwing purples, or whites, excuse me, throwing whites, because that's what we have. Just to the right of this, about 2/3 of the way through the fire animation, okay? Fire, again, much like other hazards, is something that can be really messed up by cutscenes, so keep that in mind. Basically, the geyser is not going to be on the same cycle when we get out of the cutscene. Alright, so we're going to wait about 2/3 and then throw our whites on, okay? And you're just going to try to throw your whites up as quickly as possible, and if you go quickly enough, it should take out the fire geyser, okay? You're then going to whistle the 1 Pikmin you threw off to the side here. Carefully walk over here not to get in the water, or be careful not to get in the water or walk over the fire. You're going to toss your Pikmin up here and then immediately knapsack. Pikmin's going to grab you, you're going to get up here, quickly cancel the knapsack, and then whistle all your Pikmin. So we've got 15 whites now. You're going to stand just to the side of this and then throw all your whites, okay? As soon as you get all your whites on there, switch captains, whistle your blues, load this thing. A lot of times it won't be being carried in and you want it. It's another 15 bodies, so it's really worth it. Sometimes white Pikmin might let go of this treasure. It will flip into the ground a little bit, so if you keep it in low down view, normally that will not happen. Okay, definitely want to get the bug body here, so like I said, be really careful to switch captains and get blues on that corpse as quickly as possible, okay? Alright, and with that, we are finished with Bulblax Kingdom. So Bulblax Kingdom is the last cave we visit in Awakening Wood. So as soon as that day is over, you can you're going to see a percent cutscene, but as soon as it is over, you can pause and end the day. Okay? Now, this is going to be the conclusion of part 1. I am going to make a second part of this video that is going to cover the back half of the run, just because this video is already 2 hours long. Okay? In general, at this point of the run, you should have about... So you see that I have 4,935 Pokos. That's about right. You should have somewhere between maybe 4,920 and 4,960. Okay? So 4,940 is right the center of where you're going to be most of the time. All right? And just for reference, you see that I have collected 153 bug bodies. Okay, so you should be thinking somewhere around 150, 160 bug bodies in these 4 caves in this area. All right? The second thing is your Pikmin counts should be about 55 blues, 20 whites, and 25 purples. If those numbers are low, that's okay, not a big deal. Reds, we're not really going to take them out unless there's a disaster again, so we don't really care how many reds you have at this point, okay? But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and save here, and this will be the end of part 1. Keep an eye out for part 2 as I upload it. Definitely check out all of the links that I have put in the description. They are going to be tremendously helpful if you're having any questions. Additionally, we are a really supportive and helpful community, so if you have more questions, feel free to come into the Discord, and we will more than happily help you. And with that, I want to thank you all for watching this, and wish you luck with your speedruns. Take care.